There is a specific mental trap that is almost exclusively experienced by middle-class people, not by the genuinely poor and not by the wealthy. It sits in a narrow band of income and lifestyle, and it is almost perfectly designed to prevent the people inside it from ever building real wealth. The trap has a name. Researchers call it relative deprivation combined with lifestyle inflation. Most people just call it keeping up. But here's what makes it uniquely middle class. The trap only works if you have enough money to spend on things that signal status, but not enough to build actual wealth. And the middle class, broadly defined as households earning between $50,000 and $150,000, lands almost exactly in that zone. Enough income to participate in the consumption signals of affluence. Not enough margin without deliberate choices to build the assets that produce actual affluence. This video is not about blaming middle-class people for their spending. It's about identifying the exact mechanism of a trap they've been placed in, by marketing, by peer culture, by financial norms, and showing precisely how to step out of it. Subscribe before we go deeper. New video every week. Let's get specific. Let me describe the trap in concrete terms, because it's more specific than most people realize. You finish school or training. You get a decent job, maybe $55,000 to $75,000 starting salary. This is genuinely more money than you've had before. The cognitive and emotional response to this income jump is well documented. You feel successful. You've made it, or at least started making it. And with that feeling comes the consumption that signals success. A nicer apartment, a newer car, a wardrobe upgrade, restaurant meals instead of home cooking, travel that wasn't affordable before. None of these choices feel extravagant. They feel proportionate to your income. They feel earned. And here's the trap. They are proportionate to your income, which is exactly the problem. Because proportionate spending to income leaves no room for the asset accumulation that produces wealth. You are spending your income. You are not deploying your income. Then the income grows. Maybe to $80,000, then $95,000. And lifestyle grows with it. Nicer apartment, better car, private school for the kid, vacations that match the life you see on Instagram from people in your income bracket. The gap between income and spending stays roughly constant. Sometimes it widens in income's favor for a year or two. But the lifestyle expansion reliably consumes the gains. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the most thoroughly documented behavioral phenomena in consumer economics. Lifestyle inflation is not weakness. It is the predictable response to increasing income in a social environment that continuously signals what your current income level looks like. The signal is always slightly above your actual current situation, so the lifestyle always chases the signal. And the wealth-building gap never opens. But here's where it gets specifically middle class. Let me explain why this trap is harder for the middle class than for either extreme of the income distribution. The genuinely poor cannot participate in the consumption signals of middle-class life. There is no choice about lifestyle inflation when income doesn't cover basic expenses. The constraint is imposed externally. There is no trap, only a wall. The genuinely wealthy can participate in any consumption signal they want and still build wealth, because their income margin after consumption is large enough to deploy significant capital. A household earning $500,000 can spend $300,000 on lifestyle and still deploy $200,000 annually into wealth-building assets. The lifestyle and the wealth building happen simultaneously. The middle-class household earning $80,000 cannot do this. If they spend proportionally to income, which every social signal around them encourages, they are spending $65,000 to $75,000 on lifestyle. The remainder, $5,000 to $15,000, goes to taxes, debt payments, and perhaps a thin savings buffer. There is almost no margin left for wealth-building asset deployment. The trap is structural. It's not caused by individual weakness. It's caused by a social signaling environment that continuously calibrates your consumption expectations to your income level, and a financial advice ecosystem that tells you to cut lattes, while ignoring the structural forces that make lifestyle inflation almost automatic. If this is giving you a new framework for understanding your own financial situation, subscribe. This is the analysis I put out every week, and it's designed to help you see the structure, not just feel the symptoms. Let me now identify the 4 specific mechanisms through which the middle-class trap perpetuates itself, because understanding the mechanism is the first step to escaping it. Mechanism 1, the social reference group upgrade. As income rises, social reference group tends to rise with it. The people you spend time with, colleagues, neighbors, social circle, tend to cluster around similar income levels. As your income rises, your reference group often changes. The new reference group has slightly higher consumption standards. The restaurants they suggest are slightly more expensive. The neighborhoods they live in are slightly nicer. The vacations they discuss are slightly more ambitious. This reference group upgrade isn't malicious, it's just what happens as career and social standing evolve. But the consumption calibration it produces is automatic and powerful. You don't consciously decide to eat at more expensive restaurants. You go where your social group goes. You don't consciously decide to live in a nicer neighborhood. You move where people of your income and status live. Every reference group upgrade increases the social cost of maintaining consumption below reference group norms, and human beings are intensely social creatures who feel the discomfort of this gap acutely. Mechanism 2, the debt-normalised credit system. The middle class has access to credit that the poor don't and that the wealthy don't need. And the credit system is specifically designed to enable lifestyle inflation by decoupling consumption from current income. Car loans, mortgages, credit cards, personal loans, student loans, all allow middle-class households to consume at levels their current income doesn't support, spreading the cost across future income. This decoupling is financially catastrophic in the long run because the interest paid on consumption debt is a direct transfer of future wealth to lenders. A $35,000 car loan at 7% over 60 months costs $40,400 total. The extra $5,400 is wealth destroyed, not invested, not saved, not available for asset accumulation. Across a middle-class lifetime of car loans, home equity loans, and credit card carrying, the total interest transfer often exceeds $200,000. Money that, invested, would produce a significant retirement asset. Mechanism 3, the illusion of real estate wealth. Home ownership is presented to middle-class Americans as the primary vehicle for wealth building. And it can be, under specific conditions. But the middle-class experience of home ownership often produces less wealth than commonly believed, because of costs that rarely appear in the "you're building equity" conversation. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance, typically 1 to 2% of home value annually, mortgage interest deduction, which benefits mostly higher earners, and the opportunity cost of the down payment all reduce the actual return on residential real estate for middle-class homeowners. Research from Yale economist Robert Shiller found that U.S. home prices, after adjusting for inflation, returned an average of approximately 0.4% per year over the 20th century. Compare that to 7% real returns from stocks. Home ownership can build wealth, but primarily through the forced savings of equity paydown, not through price appreciation. And the "I'll just sell my house" retirement plan is flawed because you still need somewhere to live. Mechanism 4, the income tax bracket trap. As middle-class income rises, marginal tax rates rise with it. A household moving from $60,000 to $90,000 moves from the 22% to the 24% federal marginal bracket. More importantly, the phase-out of various deductions and credits that assist lower-income households means the effective tax rate increase is often steeper than the marginal rate increase suggests. The result: income growth is partially consumed by higher taxes, which reduces the actual after-tax income gain available for wealth building. A $30,000 gross income increase produces significantly less than $30,000 in additional deployable income, often as little as $18,000 after federal, state, and payroll taxes. So how do you escape the middle-class trap specifically? The first and most important step: pre-commit your income growth to asset accumulation before it reaches your lifestyle. Every income increase, raise, bonus, promotion, should be pre-committed. 50% to increase savings and investment contributions, 50% to lifestyle if desired. This ratio is negotiable. Some people do 70 to 30 or even 100 to 0 on an income increase. But the crucial behavior is the pre-commitment. Before the raise hits your account, before the bonus arrives, decide what percentage goes to wealth building. Because once money hits your checking account and your reference group and lifestyle signals recalibrate, it's gone. This one behavior change, pre-committing income growth, is the single most effective intervention against lifestyle inflation that behavioral economists have documented. It captures the income growth before the lifestyle adjusts to it. And the lifestyle, remarkably, doesn't miss what it never received. The second step: deliberately and consciously keep your reference group consumption signals calibrated below your income level. This is socially uncomfortable. It means driving a car that's not the nicest in the neighborhood. It means living in a zip code that's slightly below your income's natural peer group. It means saying no to social events whose primary purpose is high-cost status display. It is not about deprivation. It is about intentional lag between income growth and lifestyle growth. Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, still lives in the Omaha house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. This is extreme, nobody's suggesting that. But the principle of keeping lifestyle intentionally below income is not extreme. It's mathematically necessary for wealth building in the middle-class income band. The third step: redirect the social status function toward non-consumable identity signals. Human beings need status. That's not going away. The question is what you use as the currency of status in your social world. Financial independence, skill mastery, creative output, community leadership, physical achievement. These are status signals that don't require consumption spending, and several of them actually produce financial return rather than consuming it. Deliberately cultivating identity and social standing through non-consumable means reduces the social pressure that drives lifestyle inflation. You're not less of a person for driving an older car. You're a person whose status is legible through different signals. The middle class trap is not a character flaw and it's not inevitable. It is a specific structural condition with specific mechanisms, and specific, documented ways out. The exit requires deliberately resisting a set of social signals that have been engineered to be nearly irresistible. But knowing the engineering is half the battle. Subscribe and drop me a comment. Which mechanism of the middle class trap have you experienced most directly? I read every response.